What's going on, everyone? So, Christian Wood talked about what JJ Redick expects from him, and it was pertaining to the offensive side of things, that he wants him to take advantages and post up the smaller guys, take the bigger guys off the dribble, right? Get back to being that Houston, Dallas Maverick, Christian Wood. And that's great, right? Look, Christian Wood was this time last year being talked about as, is he the guy that just put the Lakers over the top? Are the Lakers the best team in the league because they just landed Christian Wood? You're talking about a guy that was 17-7 off the bench. Not talking about a starter, not talking about a guy that was off the bench, 17-7. And I've even talked about and broken down the possibility and potential of, who could be our sixth man. Christian Wood definitely has to be at the top of the list because he's already proven in that mold. He's also the closest thing we have as far as offensive skill set for a big to Anthony Davis. Obviously, he's not Anthony Davis. That's not my point. I'm not saying that he is. I'm not saying he's even necessarily comparable, but I'm talking about the offensive array and the type of actions you can run with Anthony Davis. Christian Wood is the closest thing we have to that. His ability to pick and pop, his ability to spread the floor and knock down the three ball, his ability to post up, his abilities to make plays out of the post, his ability to, dominate smaller guys but beat bigger guys off the dribble, right? Like, we don't have anybody else that can do that, at least at this time, at the center power forward. And LeBron James can do a lot of that stuff, but, the big fellas is what I'm talking about. And I know Christian Wood is like, 6'8", 6'9", 7'3" wingspan. He's not like the big burly center we need, but he still is a mismatch at the center position for most centers, and then he is slotted at the 4. But if Christian Wood can kind of get back to being the Christian Wood we expected when he came in. Now, I think part of that was injuries, obviously. Part of that, I think, was just the off-court stuff that was going on with him. If you know about that stuff, you know about the stuff. If you don't, look it up. I'm not here to talk about drama. Just, it's an important factor in what could have maybe been a distraction for him, as well as I think Darvin Ham was a big piece of that too, right? Him, Rui, and Spencer Dinwiddie were the three guys I talked heavily about all season long, about how they were just not slotted in the right position. They were not properly utilized. And they were Christian Wood most of the time was at the top of the key, just standing there. He was utilized as if he was a 3-and-D wing or 2 guard rather than a big man that can stretch the floor, right? Like, you look at previous years, right? His three-point attempts were usually about a third of his total attempts. Last season, they were more than half. Right? Most of his attempts were from 3, and all the attempts that weren't were not because he was being utilized properly. No, it was because he'd get the ball, he'd pump fake, and then just beat a guy off the dribble. He was creating for himself. It wasn't that they were putting him in position to have success. So my hope is with JJ Redick, he actually slots him. We've seen what he can do. The last 6 seasons, 5 seasons, whatever, the guy's been anywhere from a 16 to 22 point a game guy on efficiency. Why? Because he has a specific role. He has a playability that if you play him in that role, he has shown year after year after year after year that he can be in that role. People talk about he's selfish or he's this or he's that. We need that off the bench. We don't have that off the bench, right? Like, we don't have that guy that can just go and get you 17 a night. Right? Max Christie, Dalton Connect, I do think will play a big role. But are they really going to consistently night in and night out be able to give you 17 to 20? Probably not. I don't want to put a cap on them. I don't want to say that they can't, but it's a big ask for 2 guys that went from, one wasn't even in the NBA. The other guy went and was playing sparing minutes and only getting 2 attempts per game, right? Like, to go from that to now you're going to be 17 a game. I just don't necessarily see that, right? Like, if it happens, beautiful. We'll talk about it. I'll be excited. I'll be stoked. But he's the one guy, and Christian Wood, that has the potential to be that night in and night out, can play the 4, can play the 5, have the versatility. You can even slot him at the 3 at times. I don't mind him playing the 3 at times. I even said it last season. Darvin Ham did it in the in-season tournament game, and he clamped up Kevin Durant because of his size and his length. That's the versatility of Christian Wood, but you also got to understand your player. But also another thing that Christian Wood provides, if he can get back to that, is the insurance of trading guys like a Rui Hachimura, right? Like, if you're going to make trades for certain guys, right? Like, say, Jeremy Grant, just use it. I know people get tired of me using Jeremy Grant, but it's the most realistic example. And you have to trade multiple guys, and Rui's probably going to be involved in that. Well, now if you lose Rui, you still could use a guy that has the size to play the power forward spot, can relieve LeBron, right? Guy that could even slot in at 3 on occasion, right? Well, if you end up trading Rui, if Christian Wood can get back to being the Christian Wood we know and love, well, then now you have that insurance. So if Rui leaves, well, now you got that guy. Now you have the guy that can come in, play that role. He can play the 4, slot at the 4, play occasional 5, can play occasional 3, and give you that offensive production that Rui was able to give you, right? That, I think, could be very beneficial, and now you got some kind of upgrades. Again, Christian Wood this time last year was talked heavily about, like, is this the difference maker? Is this the guy that puts the Lakers in that conversation with Boston? From even Laker haters, even places like ESPN, who this season are talking about the Lakers being the worst team in the league. Like, they were like, wow, Christian Wood came. And I know a lot of people go, no one wanted Christian Wood. That's not true at all. Christian Wood had several options and chose the Lakers. Right? It wasn't one of those things where it's like the Lakers were Christian Wood's only option. No, he had other options. He even was offered like the mid-level and stuff like that from some teams and turned it down to go play with the Lakers. He said in part because of Darvin Ham, his relationship with Darvin Ham, but he wanted to play alongside Anthony Davis, LeBron James. He's promised a bigger, expanded role, which he never really got. Now, this season, because people are like, oh, if he's that great, then he wouldn't have opted in. He's coming off an injury-riddled season in which he was terrible in. Right, like, which again, in part was because of Darvin. Like, he leaves the Lakers and he's going to get what? Right? You're not going to get the spotlight. He has a better chance of turning around with the Lakers and then getting a real contract, but even if it's not from the Lakers, but somebody else, than he does anywhere else. Right? Like, he's going to go where? Like, he's going to go to Detroit, and yeah, even if he's 17-7, nobody's going to care. Right? But if he's 17-7 on the Lakers, and the Lakers are like the 3 seed in the Western Conference, and he's a big part of that, or the Lakers end up winning the NBA championship, and Christian Wood is a big part of that, guess what? That's going to go a lot longer of a way than if he's in some random place and he's just another guy, or he's putting up numbers on a bad team, right? Like, there's just a big difference. Lakers spotlight is so much brighter than other places, right? So that's why it makes sense. That's why there's the advantage there. But to me, I look at Christian Wood as he gives it. Obviously, you need to see if he can get back there. It's why you're evaluating the first 30 games or so. Also, we need Christian Wood to get back sooner rather than. Now, it sounds like he's ahead of schedule, so that's good. Hopefully, he doesn't miss too many games. Hopefully, he only misses 10 games or whatever. So we have at least a good 20-plus game sample size to kind of really get a feel for him. But if he starts coming into his own, and even if he's not, let's say he's not a 17-7 guy off the bench. Say he's 12-6, right? Like, that's great. That's still fine. As like your 8th guy off the bench, that's fantastic. And once again, gives you that insurance. Because if you know, okay, he's giving us 12-6 a night at the 4 on occasion 5, right? Okay, let's go get that. Let's go get the Valanciunas. Boom, now you got the center. Now Wood's full-time 4, backing up LeBron. Okay, fine. And then it's like, okay, well, do we look to trade Rui or do we look to trade any of these guys? Well, maybe you get a 2-way guy, but it's like, we still need some offensive firepower. Well, if you have Wood showing that, like, hey, he can give you that, and he's given it to you on efficiency, stretching, words are hard, stretching the floor, knocking down at a, 37, 38% clip, and then he's able to go just dominate around the rim and run pick and pop actions, run pick and roll actions. Like, you can put him in different sets all over the floor. If you can do that, he's this versatile weapon for you, then again, that alleviates and takes a lot of pressure off of any other potential trades. That takes the pressure off of, like, well, if we get rid of Rui, who's going to give us that offense? Like you're looking at right now. It's like, man, if you get rid of Rui's versatility is very valuable, right? A guy you could play at the 3, play at the 4, on occasion play at the 5, you need that versatility. And it'll go get you, 15 plus on any given night, right? Like, he's a guy that can be that option. Well, if Christian Wood can evolve into that and show like the ability, which he showed for 5 or 6 prior years, literally. He had several stints with several other teams in which he showed that he could be that guy off the bench. If he can be that, then now it's like, okay, well, now the pressure is taken off of a trade for Rui or any of these other guys, right? Now you have that guy who is, one, going to be way more valuable than his contract, which is good. So now you got a value in his contract. But 2, like, also if you end up trading a Jackson Hayes or something like that, like let's say you get a Valanciunas, you got Koloko. Let's say Koloko ends up getting signed off, right? And it's like, well, okay, we have Christian Wood, so now maybe we can add Jackson Hayes as a salary dump to one of these trades, and then that way we can bring in a Jordan Goodwin or Quincy Olivari or something like that. Just again gives you more options and flexibility. But it really boils down: can Christian Wood get back to being that Christian Wood? If he can, that's great. Watch out. If he can't, it's like ugh. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion, and I pass the question on to you. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments below. What do you think? How do you feel? What are your thoughts? Are you excited to see what he provides? Are you excited to see what he brings? Do you think, like, yes, he would definitely take a lot of pressure off the Lakers for trades and stuff? And just the bench, right? Like, more than it, my biggest concern is the bench production. Max Christie, Dalton Connect have shown that they can give it, but can they consistently night in and night out give you production off the bench? That's where I have my concerns. And so if you have that guy in Christian Wood who can, and he's giving you, like I said, even if he's giving you 12 a game, if you know every night you're getting 12 points from the bench, whatever else everyone else trickles in, you're hoping equal. It basically gives you a 12-point head start compared to like right now where it's like, is our bench going to be 8 points a game? Is our bench going to be 30 points a game? Is our bench going to be, 15? Like, where are we going to be in that regard? So just something to keep in mind. But again, however you feel, whatever your thoughts are, love to hear it. Let me know down in the comments below. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. Helps me enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.